We all want to know how to take your client from this before to this gorgeous blonde bombshell. This is going to be a full highlight to the max, full send blonding service. Now, we all have those clients that come in and they just never ever feel blonde enough. Today, I'm going to walk you through my standard full highlight maximum blonding service that I do for my clients to show you how I got her this blonde. I'm going to be walking you through each section and all the formulations and how I go about foiling a full head of blonde highlights to get you this gorgeous result. So if you want to see this entire tutorial, feel free to watch the rest of this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into this amazing tutorial.
Let's go, let's leave, let's hit, let's go. Holy hit, let's go, let's go, let's go.
So first things first, got to get my board and my stuff all set up, and what I am going to be doing for this client is I am going to be using the K18 peptide prep, and this is going to cancel out any like mineral buildup or anything that she previously has on her hair. What you want to do is you want to mist the hair down with a little bit of water and then go through with the K18 spray. This also helps with damage, helps just make sure that we get maximum blonding results with very minimal damage. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do her mohawk section first. I'm going to section that out of the way, and I want to get all of my sectioning done ahead of time before I start foiling. So I'm doing just behind the ear on either side, and then I'm going to section out the back into 2 sections, split right down the middle. And sectioning is super important. I definitely suggest doing this before you start your foiling, just so that you can get it all like squared away so that you don't waste time in between foils and all of that. We want to have clean sections. It just makes for cleaner work as you go along. So I'm going to be starting in her bottom section here. I'm using my foiling board. I'm not going to use the board for the entire highlight service, mainly just for the back, and sometimes I use it for the sides, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on the client's hair and the client's head and all of the things. But usually in the back sections, I will use my board. So I'm showing you this in real time right now, and then I'm going to speed things up, but I just want to show you how detailed I am taking this foiling process. So I'm going ahead and I'm foiling, and then see that hair that's already lightened, that's going off to the side, and then any pieces that are dark all the way to the bottom, we want to just pull that lightener down on those pieces. So going in again, I'm taking about, I would say, a little less than 1/2 inch sections, and I'm taking some pretty chunky weaves. So these are going to be some pretty big sections that are being lightened here, that are being highlighted, because we want maximum blonding. So we don't want to leave a ton of hair out in between each section. We just want to get as many highlights in as possible, but at the same time, we don't want this to take us a million years. So that's why I'm taking like pretty big weaves whenever I'm doing the highlights, so that we can get some maximum results with less work. You want to work smarter, not harder. So again, just perfecting this foil before I close her up. Scooting the ends off to the side always, because we do not want to overlap. We do not want to damage. This is a client that came to me that was getting her hair done by a different stylist previously, and she felt like she was never blonde enough. So that's why she came to me. I am a blonding specialist, so I'm able to get you blonde but still keep the integrity of the hair, and it's all about the little details. Coming onto her side sections, I'm going to show you how I get maximum blonde results on the hairline. So I'm going to start with a horizontal foil here, and then I'm going to alternate diagonal and horizontal foils, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. So we want to be really careful around the hairline because this is where the hair can break off really easily and we can get some overlap and all the things like that. So we want to make sure we're flipping out the ends of the hair that are already highlighted and not overlapping. So I did that horizontal foil. Now I'm doing a diagonal foil right here on her hairline, and this is going to make her feel really blonde when she pulls her hair up and everything like that. So we want to make her feel really blonde around her hair because that's when clients feel the blondest, is when they can see it around their hairline. Sorry for the blurry camera angles. I try my best when I'm filming at the salon, but it's a little hard. Then I'm going to go in with another horizontal foil, and I'm going to still taking weaves here throughout this section as well as when I did in the back. So just going ahead and highlighting this horizontal foil, and then I'll go through and do another diagonal one around her face, and I'm going to alternate here. So just take note and watch me do these foils here as I go along the side of her head, getting her maximum blonding results with minimal damage. That is the goal always when we are doing a highlight client. We do not want damage or breakage. We want to keep them blonde and we want to keep them coming back to see us do their hair. And if we're breaking off their hair, they're not going to want to come back and see us. So you want to be very careful when you are lightening. Coming into my last section here, which is going to be my mohawk section, I am going to be taking some kind of slice weaves. It's kind of like a combination in between a slice and a weave. So I slice a section just like that, and then I kind of just move my comb up and down a little bit as I'm like taking a slice, and I'm just going to be doing my lightener here. Now I will go over how I mixed my lightener after I get everything foiled, and I'll show you what I mixed and how I changed up my volumes for each section and everything, because I do think it's important to have, especially when you are doing a full foil, to mix multiple bowls as you go into each section so that you can process everything all together so that everything can process simultaneously. Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. So I am going in and doing the mohawk section. The important thing to remember with the mohawk section is the closer together your foils are, the less stripiness you're going to have, and the further apart your foils are, the more chunky your highlights are going to look. So the more like brown you leave out in between the foils, the more dimension you're going to have and the more chunkier they're going to look. So I'm leaving out not so much in between each foil, but she does have a lot of growth coming, so it's going to look dimensional whether I leave anything out. So just being mindful of that as we go along here. And then as I get up to the very front of her hair, I do back-to-back slices just to give her that really bright pop of kind of like a money piece in front. And I just slice in the front without leaving any hair out in between. So that is going to be how I'm going to finish this entire foil, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me foil here. I love doing highlights. It's really peaceful and therapeutic for me to do highlights. I just love blonding, and I love to be really precise and make my clients happy. Oh, and also here we are. As I go along the mohawk section, sometimes I'll do like a foil on the side here just to make everything really crisp. Honestly, I mean, you don't want to take, what am I trying to say? You don't want to take a section that's like wider than the foil for your mohawk section, and if you're getting a little bit too much of a curvature on the head, like with that foil, if the section is just too wide, then you can just take a little slice off the side and foil that little bit. But like I said, this is a full foil, so we are not really leaving any hair out in this. She doesn't want a ton of depth or a ton of dimension. She wants to be as blonde as possible. We are going for the blondorexic vibes. So that is what I'm here for, and I love to do it. So as I'm going along the mohawk section, as I'm getting closer to the front, I do tighten my foils up a little bit closer together. So as I approach the front, I just go a little bit less hair in between each foil, and I'm going straight up slices at this point. So I get to a point probably midway through the mohawk section where I just do like straight up slices, and I don't really weave my foil around it or my comb at all. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I don't really weave my comb around at all. So just getting these in really nice and tight, and see how close I am getting to her scalp. And you want to take note of the saturation that I'm doing. It's not too saturated because you don't want the lightener to bleed. This is where you do not want to get bleed marks in the front of your client's hair. That's like the worst thing ever. So as I go here, I'm tightening up her foils. I'm doing back-to-back slices, and I'm doing about 3, maybe 4 back-to-back slices in the front of her hair because she wants to be really, really heavy blonde in the front. And I do love doing the mohawk section like this, where I pull the foils to the back. I feel like whenever the hair lays down, it creates a really nice diffusion versus like foiling on their forehead, like to the front, if that makes any sense. So I feel like this lays really nicely, and then I just clamp all those corners together, and it holds it in really nice for her to process. For her formula, I'm using the Cune Cream Blonde. I started with 10 volume only, and then I'm gonna switch every time I mix up. I'm gonna increase the volume. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. I mix 20 grams of lightener to 40 grams of the developer. So what I started with was 20 grams of the Cream Blonde, 40 grams of 10 volume. Then when I had to remix, I did another 20 grams of the Cream Blonde, and then I did 20 grams of 10 volume, 20 grams of 20. So we have kind of like a 15 volume. Then the third time I mixed, I did another 20 grams of cream blonde, and then I switched to just 20 volume. So 40 grams of the 20 volume. And I only had to remix 3 times, and I had the perfect amount of lightener for her full head. So that is what I mixed up, and then she's going to process and we'll come up with her glossing formula. I am going to be using my new Cune line. As you guys know, I'm switching from Shades EQ to all Cune color, and so I still have some shades that I'm like trying to kind of use up, but on her I'm going to use the new color line. So I'm going to come up with her formula, and then I'll let you know what we're going to be mixing for her gloss. So she's been processing now for about 30 to 40 minutes. Foils look amazing. She's lifted perfectly, and I always check several foils. I don't just check like one foil. I'll check different sections that I've done, but everything lifted cleanly and evenly since I switched volumes throughout applying her foils. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all of her foils and then rinse her shampoo, and I'll get her gloss mixed up, and I'll let you know what I'm mixing for her gloss. For her gloss, I'm going to be mixing up the Cune Semi-Color. I'm going to be mixing 10-2, which is 10 Pearl, and then 9-2-7, which is Pearl Violet. Not as much of the level 9. I want to keep her as blonde as possible. And then I think I am going to add just a smidge of 10-3-1, which is your Golden Ash Blonde, just to give it a smidge of warmth. But it's not gonna really come out warm because we're just adding a little bit, but I just don't want it to be too cool. So we wanna have a perfect balance of warmth and cool. So I'm just adding a little bit of this in there. Going on to pulling her foils, I usually pull these bottom back ones before the client lays back into the bowl. Then I'm going to pull all of the other foils out and just fill up the sink with a bazillion foils, and then I'll kind of just gather them all up and toss them in the trash. I love blonding services. I absolutely love to just make my clients feel really good and fresh and bright. So what I do on the shampoo bowl is, this is not really a Scandinavian hairline. This is kind of just to bump up that hairline, just like honestly a half of a level. It's not even like a whole level. I only do it for really enough time to rinse everything, and then I'll rinse out the hairline that I've done there. It just kind of blurs any like harsh lines from the foils just like really, really quickly. You do not want to let that sit too long because as you probably know, you can get really, really, really warm. So I just let it sit for just a minute while I rinse out the rest of the client's hair, and I don't do that on everyone, only on some of my clients. So just do a little bleach on the hairline just to bump her up a smidge on her natural. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to towel dry her. I always towel dry everyone before shampoo, and then towel dry before I put the gloss on, and I feel like that really does make a difference. If you don't shampoo before you're putting your gloss on, it can leave room for bleach to still be in the hair. And then, like, say there's like one little spot, they had really thick hair, and there's one little spot that there was still bleach on. When you go in to smooth that gloss in, that'll get all over the hair and it won't process, like the gloss won't process. So it's just better not to risk it and to make sure it is shampooed, all the bleach is shampooed out before you do the gloss. And I do like to section it out here. As you can see, I was like lifting up different sections and making sure I'm saturating and concentrating the gloss in all of the interior of her hair. This is a super, super important step of the hair service, glossing. So you want to just make sure it's a completely even and completely evenly distributed and on her ends as well and everything. So I like to take my time with this. I like to be really thorough. I included this entire gloss application in this video just because I want you guys to see how I go about putting the gloss on. And then once we get this all applied, I'm going to go ahead and put a cap on her, and this is going to sit for 20 minutes. Getting her all blow dried and gorgeous. Obviously I used some heat protectant and everything to get her all dry, and I'll show you guys her before again in case you forgot. She was very grown out, just feeling dull, not super bright. She hadn't gotten a full highlight in a really long time, so it was time for a refresh. I am obsessed with these results. It is such a natural hairline, so pretty, no foil lines or anything, no bleed marks. We did not do a root shadow. I was very precise with my application, so we were able to just gloss, blow dry, and go. So let me know what you guys think of this tutorial and this full send, full blonding service, and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. Stay tuned for my live content. I've been doing a lot of live videos here on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe to my memberships if you guys want exclusive content. If you want to learn my extension method and get certified in that, sign up for my memberships. I'll leave a link down below. It is just $24 a month or $50 a month depending on which package you'd like to do. I'll see you in the next one.
Let's go, let's hit, let's go.